All right, guys. Better late than never. It is Rick Ginn, and we are on Flip with Rick. And today, I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to find, which is locating, how to write offers for vacant land, and most importantly, how to sell and get your check paid on it. And honestly, if you haven't considered doing vacant land, you're missing the boat. And this fits under the umbrella of wholesaling. Now, I don't want you to quit doing single family homes. Sorry. I'm going to show you how to combine both. But for today's teaching, we're going to focus solely on wholesaling vacant land. So if you want to come along with the ride, honestly, this one's packed. I got a lot to get through. Not sure I'm going to get it done in time, so I might go in like hyper speed on some of this. So the first thing we're going to do is just talk about vacant land. And then what I want to do is walk through the steps. And then most importantly, I'm going to share with you 2 tools on how to value land, how to find the land, locate the demand, and then most importantly, how to find the cash buyers for it. So if you want to come along with the ride for it, I'm going to pack in 21 years in like an hour and a half. Not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out. Zach wanted me to do a high-level tutorial on it. So do me a favor, make sure you use the comments, ask your questions, let us know what market you are in. If you're new to this, do me a favor, make sure you go over to the #1 website to teach you how to get started in wholesaling, freewholesaling.com. I put it right down here on the bottom. I go into much more detail on this, but we got an hour and a half, so let's do it. Take it seriously. Pretend you just paid a guru $3,000 and you actually get value for it. Odds are you're probably not going to, but I'm going to make sure you get the value with it. So make sure you like and you subscribe to this channel, and let's jump into it. So everybody talks about vacant land, and I'm going to use my little purple whiteboard. So my handwriting's not the best, but it is what it is. You know, God gave me certain handwriting skills, and that's it. So let's talk about vacant land versus, let's just talk about pros and cons of vacant land, because I get a lot of this. So make sure I can fit it up here. Vacant land. Wholesaling. So let's do the pluses and let's do the minuses. Because I don't know about you, but before I jump into something, I want to know what I'm up against. Because if you've ever, like me, you've ever dove, when I was younger, I dove into things that just never made me any money. If somebody told me the pros and cons before I did it, it would have been a much easier way to evaluate if it was a good deal. So knowing that, let's jump into it. And I'm going to watch your comments as you guys put them in here, and let's go with it. So let's do the easy part, which is honestly, everybody always just tells you like the pluses. And so I'm going to give it to you. There's no specific order, but I want you to understand how this works. Land. There's very little emotions involved. Think about this. They don't live in the land. They don't have a home where they raise their children. It's a piece of land. Most people buy a piece of land for 2 basic reasons. Number 1, going to build my dream home. I always wanted to build there. I buy the land and I'll figure out how to build it and do the plans. A lot of it doesn't come to fruition. Number 2, they land bank. I land bank all the time. Land bank needs one thing. What's the one thing it needs? It needs time. How much time? I have no idea. I'll walk you through examples of it. But when I deal with someone that owns a piece of land, I don't get the sentimental value. There's no marks where Johnny grew up and like our parents. They don't tell you about how grandma served the casserole in this kitchen. Guys, we get all this in single family homes. And honestly, we use it to accentuate the relationship versus being transactional. But this is actually a plus. You're like, well, Rick, isn't that a minus? No, because they can make faster decisions and you don't have the emotional turmoil. You get into it. Next one. It's fast. Or we can call it faster than single family homes. Why? It's just the way it is. You're just valuing the land. You see, on a single family home, you have to value the land and you have to value the piece of property. And that makes comping a little bit more complicated. You guys know how I feel about comping. We'll get on that side, but it's definitely faster. Now, here's another plus. It is perfect for virtual wholesaling. In fact, it is an absolute requirement. You are not going to have enough vacant land in your backyard to feed you consistent deals long term. So go ahead and do it in your backyard. That's how I started in Port St. Lucie when land was $3,000 to $5,000 a lot. Now it's $100K. And I did this all the time, but I ran out of land. Not until someone introduced me to virtual wholesaling that I can go anywhere I want. So no longer are you confined to these traditional markets and stuck with them. So I'm telling you, virtual wholesaling, I've never met a good virtual land wholesaler that doesn't operate in multiple markets. So embrace it. Don't go, I'm not sure I can. You can do it. I promise you. Why? It's faster and there's no emotions, and you have to understand that. What else do I love? There's no inspections. No inspections, no appraisals, which once again loops back around to why it is so much faster. I love this part of, like, guys, this is great. But this is the easy part. I'm just going to rip through the positives because we got to talk about some of the downsides of it. It is easier to exit a contract. What do I mean by that? Well, if they're not emotionally tied to it, they're not being displaced, they don't have a moving truck, it is not as traumatic when the deal doesn't work out. Now, you will have a higher turnover ratio, which we'll talk about on the other side, but you don't get all the baggage that comes with it. I already moved, I packed, how dare you renege, blah, blah, blah. There's real no damage here. They're not living in it. They weren't getting a rent on it. They don't have tenants in it. And for this reason, it's absolutely huge. And some people gravitate towards wholesaling land just because of this reason. Now, other one, you don't need no boots on the ground. You can do the whole thing virtually all by yourself. You can get partners, you can get employees, you can get VAs, but you don't need that complex part of taking pictures, sending someone to sign a document. You can do the whole thing virtually, which is very exciting when you want to get started in wholesaling and you have a path that, like, you're in charge of your destiny. And for this reason, it is easier than single family homes. And you got to understand this. Now, here's the key part. This is my favorite part. This is the key that most teachers don't teach you about vacant land. And I only know this because I've been in this business 20 plus years. It is a common sense thing, but it's like a little nuance. And this is what's really changed in this business. Data, or shall we say a lack. We all know in single family homes, one of the most difficult parts of dealing with sellers is their availability of data. Zillow tells them your house is worth so-and-so. Even if it's worth more or less, they know the numbers. They go to realtor.com. They go to Trulio. They go to Redfin. You guys go to listrei.com. Like, we have data coming out our ears. Everybody wants to give us data. It's like a data revolution. But when we go to vacant land, there is not enough accurate data to comp it. So what I'm telling you is people that own vacant land, including people like me, we don't really know the modern day value of it. We don't know the opportunities we can sell it for. Perfect example. I used to own a bunch of land up in Brevard County, Palm Bay, the future Port St. Lucie. Smoking market. I already operate in there. If you want to join me, come on, let's go. But I bought a bunch of lots. They were between $2,000 and $4,000. How can I go wrong? I was looking at lots in Port St. Lucie at the time. We're selling for 30 to 40 grand. I go, that's a major discount. I'm just going to buy them. Now, I bought it under the psychic, I'm going to land bank. Here's the problem, guys. I owned those lots for 12 years. They really did not appreciate it. They didn't do anything. The tax bill was $200 to $400 on each one of them. And lo and behold, somebody called me and said, hey, listen, would you take 10? They offered me 10. Now, I negotiated with them. I wound up getting, I think, 12.5 on average. Thinking like, Rick, that's a 10 times return. So I looked at my cost basis. I wasn't going to make any money. I would love to take the money and do it to higher and better use. That's great. They knew what the value of the land was. I didn't. Why? Because they went out, they found out what the actual demand, which is I'm going to show you how to do, and they took advantage of the opportunity. I was fine with it because here's what I did. That land cost me $2,500. He's offered me $12.5. That's a 10x multiple. I'm fine with it. Here's the best part. He bought it from $12.5 and sold it for like $16.5. Now he did like 5, I think it was 6 lots. That's good payday. And the person had no experience. I appreciated the hustle. I gave the person the opportunity. I didn't care. What I'm telling you is because of my lack of data, I did not have the time or energy to find out what the current value of it was. Can I go to Zillow? Half the time the number's not there. It's incomplete. They don't know how to value land. And this is one of the most amazing parts of doing vacant land. You have the opposite problem people have in single family homes. Everybody's got data and they all make decisions based on what softwares tell them. When I come to vacant land, 9 times out of 10, they just look at what their initial investment was. And if you wait 10 years, you're like, you know what, at 10x, that's pretty good. The problem is if I waited 1 or 2 more years, I would have had a 25x. But I can't predict the future. I'm fine taking a profit. And this is one of the sole reasons why you need to consider doing vacant land. This is my favorite part of it. And until they break this wall, you have an upper hand on doing this business. Because we all have the opposite problem when it comes to single family homes. Hold on. You're okay. I'm coming, guys. I kicked the wire. We have the opposite problem. Buyers have too much information. So without that, it reminds me of the days when I started out wholesaling. It was much easier back in the day. And I want you to understand that. If you understand that, it makes perfect sense. So please understand that. So let's jump to the other side of the barrier, ready? Because we got to keep going through this. It is... Hold on. What are the negatives? Now, this same problem is going to go back over here. One of the negative is it's hard to comp. You guys understand that? It's just really hard to comp. I'm going to teach you how to comp it because you are going to do it through your cash buyers. I'll show you how to do that. So vacant land is much harder to comp because there's less data. We understand that. Number 2, instead of focusing so much on the seller, you have to focus on the cash buyer. And what I'm telling you on that, guys, you're not used to it. You don't know how to do it because you've been doing the opposite, chasing motivated sellers. And for that reason, if you understand that, I'm going to teach you how to do the cash buyer part, and it'll make perfect sense for you. Now, also, the profits, they're smaller. They're smaller. Don't let it intimidate you, but they're easier. It requires less effort, in my opinion. It doesn't mean it's not going to require serious hustle and consistency, but you have to understand that's it. And then the last one that really sticks out to a lot of people is the fallout of the contract is substantially higher. Why? Because you don't always find a buyer. Sometimes it is finding a needle in the haystack. And that's going to lead us to our next part is we have to do one important thing when we go in this. Understand they're harder to comp. You have to have a much higher intense focus on cash buyer. Most of you don't. The profits are going to be slightly smaller. They can be bigger, but in the beginning, they'll be smaller. and then your fallout contract. What do I mean by that? It means if I write 10 contracts, if you get half of them to stick, it's not a bad ratio in vacant land. You can't be doing that on single family homes. All the positive, you guys know about it. But once you understand the positive and negative, we got to focus on the cash buyer. We're going to have a fallout contract rate much higher, and they're going to be more difficult to comp. And I'm going to show you how to do all that stuff now. So let's move on to the next phase here. Let me erase all this. By the way, guys, this is recorded, so if I erase it, don't freak out. So let's switch over. Let's go to our red marker. And so let's talk about the steps to vacant land. You should have a simple 1, 2, 3 step. Number one, you've got to understand you have to locate demand. If you do not locate demand, you are going to be lost, because who's your customer? Your customer are your cash buyers taking over your contracts. You've got to go where they want it. Don't guess where they want it. Rick, how do I do that? I am so glad you asked that question. So the first thing I want you to understand is we have to locate demand. So I'm going to give you 2 tools right now. We're going to walk through them and show you how to do it. One of my favorite ways is going to be listrei.com. It's simple. I'm going to walk you through it. After I show you that, I'm going to show you another neat trick I showed you guys like a year ago. And honestly, you guys overwhelmed me with demand for this video. This is 20 years of me going back to the CoreLogic days. I'm going to teach you how to go on the CoreLogic for free. I'm going to show you how to find demand for free. So with you guys' permission, I'm going to do a screen share and walk you through on how to locate demand. Because if you don't get this part right, don't worry about the rest. It's not going to work. So let me jump through. You know, I am technology challenged, but I'm going to figure out how to share it here. So with your permission, and if you have questions, put it in there. I promise you I will get to them. And let's do a present. Let's share screen. And which one you guys want me to do first? List REI or CoreLogic? Let's go with let's do CoreLogic first, because this is foreign to most people and it's free. So let's start out with the freest version we can. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Let me pop down in the corner here, or where can I? No. There we go. Okay. So if you're looking at screen, you go, Rick, what are you talking CoreLogic? It says list source. So I'm here to tell you list source is the product of it. Now I'm going to teach you the free version. I keep telling you guys, list source is going to shut this down. So please run with it as long as you can. Years ago, I taught a trick in Zillow. It was so deadly. It was so amazing in the wholesaling field. Zillow caught wind of it and shut it down. I know I shed a tear too. So sometimes you have to run. When it's free, you get away with it as long as you can, just like you guys do at freewholesaling.com and a lot of the free offers, me and Zach. But honestly, if it helps you get started, I don't care, man. I wish somebody would help me out. So I'm going to show you a secret way to find demand. So here's what I'm going to randomly do. We're going to find, so all you have to do is go to list source. You don't have to sign up. You sign up an account. Do not pull out your credit card. This is a la carte. And I'm going to show you some of the values of using listrei.com and some of the stuff you guys take granted for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is select geography. So let's just do, I'll do a city. How's that? So let's do St. Louis, a big city out in the middle of nowhere. Now, guys, we're not going to do places so you got to do the common sense approach right off the bat and understand that Florida's probably not going to be a place I want to start out. So I'm going to go ahead and add St. Louis just like this. So this is recorded. This is live. We're in 2024, and I'm showing you this still works as of July, August in 2024. I was like, does it still work? Yeah, it still works. So we go in and we put in the city, and this right here is a counter. So every time you adjust the criteria, this adjusts. Now, guys, this is how I learned to build lists. This is how I became a list building ninja. I would spend 8 hours critiquing and getting the perfect data. You know why? Because I was broke. I could not afford to overpay for my list. And a lot of these were 20, 25 cents a pop. Yes, I know listrei.com's a great value on that. So the next thing I'm going to do after I do that is I simply go down to property type. So see these tabs here? So we just did geography. Now we're going to jump over to property type. And under property type, we simply drop down the criteria, and we are going to go down to a vacant land. Where'd I put it? Land. I am jumping down. Oh, wait a minute. I'm in the wrong one. Property type. And you are going to go either find, you could do let's see. Did it disappear on me? That's property type. I'm going to go down and I've got to find, that's the wrong one. You're built, property type. So this is kind of old school, and you got to know these tricks of the trade. So let me just show you what I did. So clarity, I went to property type. By the way, I don't use this every day. I just do it to locate value. And then I'm going to go down and click vacant land. And you have to click this add button. I know, boohoo, this is old technology for old people like me, but I'm sure this is free. So pay attention. Now, once I do the property type, notice this, 11,989. Now, if you want to get like real particular on types, you can break this down. Remember, I'm just doing a quick snapshot so I can identify what the land value is on it. So you're like, Rick, I don't want to buy 11,989. Now, I'm not overly familiar with St. Louis. I've been there a few times. They obviously have vacant land available. So I know there's plenty of opportunity left here. If I did, say, in my counties, like where I grew up, Broward County or Martin or St. Lucie County, these numbers are going to be substantially smaller. And I know that's not going to be a sign of a good opportunity. So here's what we're going to do. You see this button down here that says purchase list? You're going to click that, but we need to decide if we want to break down and do it any further on that. So what I want to do is I want to now find, so now we have the property types, and you can basically identify any type of area we want to do. So I'm going to click the purchase list button. And by the way, there's so many variations you can do with this on it. So I'm not an idiot. I'm not paying $1,800. I used to pay $1,800, and that's why I like using listrei.com. But I want you to understand this. Do you see this tabs up here? Go up here and do partial, purchase partial list. I believe that's the one I did. Now, when I do it, now I want you to drop down to custom selection. Now, this is where you can just quickly pinpoint if I'm dropping. So if I'm dropping in St. Louis, which I don't know a lot about it, and you guys can share more information in the comments if you want, is I'm going to drop down and basically, now you can break it down by county. Look at this, guys. I now know that St. Louis City is the place that's going to have the most opportunity. Now, say you want to get more granular and more specific, you can do it by city, county. My favorite thing is I click zip code and boom. And now this points me to like, what are the biggest areas where land is available? And you can click down and you can look and you can see where the most opportunities. Remember, we're just looking at land records. And so I notice right here in this zip code, there's a ton of opportunities, 63113, a lot of opportunities. And I'm just going to build intel and I'm going to hunt for demand. Now, as long as you don't put your credit card in, this is free, guys. I don't know any other software that can just pinpoint to the accurate zip codes. Now, you can do the exact same thing if you want to do it on cash buyers. So if I went back, I think it'll restart me. And then just say I was going to look and, oh my God, I forgot the zip code. So let's just go back and do the state. And then we'd said Missouri. We add. And no, let's do city because that's way too much. And if we go under city, we basically, if I go back down under Missouri, let me jump down here. Uh-oh. So I got to find the city. And we said St. Louis. Now we're going to do the next step, which is going to be identify how many cash buyers in there. Now, the next one I'm going to do is property type. And this is where my eyes deceive me sometimes. Oh, I got to go back under the property tab. Property type, which is going to be right there. And then what I am looking for is vacant land. And then I want to look, and I want to look at the, so you can do it under last market sale date. And then what I can do here is say I want to just look in the last 3 months under vacant land. I think that automatically does that there. 855 buyers that bought these properties. And I'm going to try to see if I can do, we're going to do equity percentage, and we're going to set it at 100%. So I want you to understand the 100%. Let's just say 91 to 100. Make this easy. So I got 26 cash buyers that buy vacant land in that area. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to go down, click partial list again. Don't put your credit card. It's only $5.20. I'm going to put $5.20. You can go to Starbucks today on me. You're welcome. You're going to push partial list. And when we go under partial list, we are going to go under custom selection. And what I'm going to do is break it down by zip code. You can do it by city or county. So we're already there. So let's do zip code. And once again, now I'm going to break down. And now these are some small numbers. I get it. Depending, I'm picking random data. But this zip code right there looks like we have some activity going on there. And you want to understand how this works. So guys, if you have a question on it, it's recorded. I do not go in this software every day. It's not my preferred software. I only use it to dictate demand, especially when I'm going somewhere I'm not sure. I think there's opportunity. Now, what other, you have to pass the common sense test on this too. So let me write this up under there. Common sense. What do I mean by that? Eliminate the places you know that don't work. I love Florida. I live there. I'm probably not going to New York. I'm probably not going to California. And guys, we could probably Chicago. You get my grift? Like that demand is already discovered. You don't want to touch it. Ideas for you. Tennessee, Alabama. I can keep going on. I'm not going up in, but here's the problem. It's a fine line. And this is why I want you to use these tools. We're going to go through listrei.com right now. The problem is you can go in a place where it's so rural, it's not going to work. So let me give you an example. I promise you this. If you get on the phone and start dialing for dollars and you get a vacant list in North Dakota, by the way, phenomenal state. But they got some brutal winters there. and it's a very remote population. If you call on that list, I've already done this. Probably 70% of the people will sign a contract with you right away. There's just a little, here's the problem, little demand. So how do I avoid areas like this? Simple, guys. Look at the population. And as a rule, if your population is less than 50K, it's going to be tough unless you like know the area and you know the land and you're there. But what that means, if it is, it's going to cost you time. Now, the good news is you get more time on these types of deals, but 50K it's tough. 25K, honestly, it's almost impossible. 100K, I do this all day long. The problem with the areas I showed you before, once you get populations 3 to 500K, the demands push the price up so far, and it's hard to find opportunity. So we have to find where there's future opportunity, and we have to find where there's demand. And if you go too far in like North, South Dakota, Wyoming, by the way, Wyoming and Montana are suddenly very popular, very great places, people buying second homes, but they're challenging to build and all those other aspects. You've got to flip vacant wholesale land where you have demand. If you don't have demand, you're just going to write contracts. You're never going to be able to sell them. So let's jump into listrei.com and let's do this first. Let me give you the cheat code. So you already know you have to find demand. So I'm going to go back and do list source to help you find the cash buyers, because most of you have it anyways. And I don't want you spending money to do it. So if you understand that, you've got to understand, you can also go to other places, Redfin, there's all sorts of land sites. There's too many to name, and just look. And so you look at the average price point. What is the average price points we want to do on these? Less than 100K. You're just going to have more buyers. And remember, this is 100% cash. The only type of financing that's ever done on wholesaling vacant land is self-financing. That means you. And we can get creative as you want. I'm not going to teach you that today because that's a whole nother class, and I don't want you to get stuck. Let's talk about how to do this. 100K, and then I like populations at least 50K population. If you guys understand this, it's the same information we kind of use on single family homes, just lower price points and a little bit less of a population. My preference would be 100K for population, but sometimes they exceed the $100,000 threshold. Now, 90% of the lands you'll deal with are going to be 100K or less. Some of them are very, very small. And if there's demand, you have opportunity. If there's no demand, you're going to struggle with it. You need to understand that. So let's do this. Let's just jump in. Let me do a screen share while I have it, so we have time. So we got plenty of time. We got another hour here. So let me share the screen. So if you have a question, so any of you guys have any other ideas where you can help track inventory or like do this, put it in the comments and I'll put it up there. I want to help people out because remember, this is an add-on to your wholesaling. It is not a replacement. I got to be very clear with that. You need to do both, in my opinion. And because when I started out, I ignored vacant land, even when it came up, even when they had a lot for sale next door. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. After a while, I figured it out because I was leaving money on the table and I was missing out on amazing opportunity. So let me share my screen one more time here. And let's jump into PropStream. So actually, I populated this just before I came on because honestly, St. Louis looks like a pretty cool place. Got to go there at some time. So I got on here, St. Louis, Missouri. So those of you who aren't familiar with this is listrei.com. And let me just put this up here so I don't confuse anyone. Let me do this. Where is it? I put it on the bottom so you guys know what I'm talking about. So most of you have this software. If you don't, check it out. It works. You get a 7-day free trial period. But this is going to tell you all the opportunities in this zone. So this is what I like about this. Me, who is not a technological wizard, I actually like PropStream because I'm just so used to using their data. I will tell you, PropStream has very good data. There's nobody disputes that. And if something works and you find deals on it, don't break away from it, even if you find the latest shiny object, unless it's better and you get better value. So knowing that, I'm just going to go under my filters tab right here. And then so the first thing I can do the same thing I did, but this one we can actually pull list and do what we want because it's all inclusive. So if I want to go down and do vacant land, I'm going to click that. And then if you notice on this, it's going to tell you have 17,000 opportunities. You can filter this thing down to the finest detail, whatever you need. Most of you guys get 10,000 exports included in your membership. And what I would do is filter this down at least 10,000, probably 5,000, and sort through what's important. You can sort through by price. Like, so some of the first things I'm going to do is under property characteristics, I'm going to do a maximum value. So if we look under here, we got to go under the value tab. If we go under value, we do an estimated value and we do a maximum of $100,000. So let's see what it comes up with. Uh-oh, I reset the whole thing. Ugh. Okay, hold on. Filter, property characteristics, vacant land. Now, under all types, I'm going to make it a little bit more, and I'm just going to do residential, I believe. So residential vacant land. Thank God I got my contacts in today. Don't hit reset. And it just takes a little while. It's going to spin there. I'll talk to you why it spins. So basically 19,000 plus opportunities. And then so you can go through all these and you remember, you want to customize it on what you think the success is there. So the estimated value, I'm going to do a maximum of say 95,000. And if you notice that cuts it down to 1,720 opportunities. Now, you can do by length of ownership. I like to have people length of ownership. If we do ownership information, I'm going to do years of ownership, a minimum. I like 3 years. Actually, 5 is probably a better one. That cuts it down to 1,000. And watch, I can change this to 5. Now I'm down to 870 opportunities. Guys, there is a lot of opportunity. Now, if you wanted to take it a step further, let me click this off. You could draw a map in the area. You can do a rectangle, and I don't know enough about St. Louis to do it, so I would be butchering it if I did it. But you can instantly start locating where you think the gold is in the neighborhood. And guys, this is just one city. You can do this all over the country. And honestly, you just got to figure a way to attack. Now, let's look at it on the other side because we always talk about doing demand. So let's reset here. We're in St. Louis. My God, you can tell I work in Port St. Lucie. And then we want to figure out what is demand with the cash buyers. So now what I can do is let me go under and I am still going to do residential vacant land. Oh, it would help if I did this. Vacant land. And then I don't want to do all types. I just want residential vacant land. And then I am now going to go, listen guys, I prefer stuff that's off market. This is one of my favorite parts of listarei.com. And if it's off market, I just prefer it off market. Now, being on market is not as big of a deal in land listings because realtors are still a pain in the butt to work through, but like they do have listings. And if it's sitting out on the market for like a year plus, you might have an opportunity, but that is not my characteristics. Now, let's see the easiest way to do this for us. So what I want to do is I am now going to go under ownership information and I'm going to find people. I'm going to do the valuation, 95,000. And then I'm going to do estimated equity value 100% to find my cash buyers. Now there's a million ways you can do it in this. Let me just double check, make sure we got everything on there. You can do maximum number of properties owned. I really don't care. I don't want anyone to own more than like 35 properties because those are like giant portfolios. So basically you find your cash buyers. There's a lot of cash buyers. Now you can work in tandem with ListSource to really identify the area, but you guys got to find the demand. You got to find the cash buyers. And so what I want to do is the last one. So this is just general information, but if we go down and we go under the ownership information, I want to look at people that the last sale date. I thought they had a 90-day tab on this, but I want to look at stuff for the last 6 months or the last 90 days. So last sale date. Let's see here. We go ahead and put today. And then this one, I'm going to backdate 3 months. Let's put the first. Voila. I got 16 cash buyers that are buying vacant land. They're going to give you the estimated values. And guys, this is the critical part. Let me jump back here. Look at me. If I could zoom the camera in, I would zoom and I would grab you and understand if you don't know where the cash buyers are buying, you're going to be in trouble. This is why I've spent a majority of the time in the beginning telling you, this is where you need to hunt. This is where you need to look. You have to understand this. Some of you guys just reach out randomly. If you want to run this as a business and you really want to crush it with land, you have to identify the demand for the property. So I've showed you how to use List REI to not only identify demand, to locate your cash buyers, and then you can also use CoreLogic, which is basically ListSource, and then you can do a more holistic, like where are all the transactions for vacant land going on? You can narrow it down to city, to county. The most important is, I'm going to put it on there, you got to do it by zip code. Here's the good news. You can go back and replay this video and do it step by step. Pause, Rick did this, pause, Rick did that. That's it. I don't know how long CoreLogic is going to let us wholesalers get away for free with this. Zillow started listening to me and they took what I thought was one of the most valuable pieces of intel ever. They showed you how many people viewed the property before you looked at it as a wholesaler. And it was a huge time saver for me. If I saw 50, 60 people were like actively searching that property online, I already know someone's marketing it. When I saw 0 and I had a motivated seller, it was like go time. And we could sort our leads on it. They took it away. So please use the CoreLogic, the ListSource cheat code while you can. Because here's the good news is once you have that data, it's good for a while. So even if you used it like today or tomorrow and they took it away in a month or two, it's extremely valuable and you got it for free. I love harnessing the power of big companies and getting stuff for free. I believe it gives you a competitive advantage over everybody else. And with AI and everything else is going out, use other people's technology so you can get the best of it. So guys, it's recorded. We're going to keep moving on. So what's our next step? We've done step 1. Okay. going to leave up there. So what's our next step? The next step is simply we have to make an offer. How do we make offers? This is where a lot of you guys freeze. So I'm going to simplify it. If you listen, put in the comments if you've had trouble making offers on single family houses, because the amount of messages I get, like, what do I offer? How do I do it? What's my MAO? Rick, how do you calculate the LAO? When it comes to land, this part is brutally simple. Number one, you have to accept and understand. You have to locate demand. Number two, you have to build the cash buyers list. Your cash buyers' appetite for how much they'll pay in the area they want to buy will dictate how much you make your offers for. I don't care what Zillow says. I don't care what any software says. The only person that identifies the value of a piece of vacant land is a cash buyer. So an appraisal, all that stuff, none of it works in vacant land. And honestly, this is the piece that we as wholesalers still have a massive competitive advantage. And if you understand this, you can hit it out of the park. So, I see somebody putting a post on here about it's not the same thing. They used to show a graph and you could see how much activity was on the property. And I actually recorded an entire series on this. And I had multiple contacts from Zillow reach out to me like, we're going to hide this feature because it's being abused. It was so powerful as a wholesaler, but Patrick, it's not the same thing. It's very misleading data. Before it was raw. I could find out if people were daisy chaining properties, if realtors were involved. And then when you saw it, it was like a graph. So you know how they have the value? They would show the activity on the property. They don't have the activity feed anymore. If you have an activity feed, show me a link to it. Send it to me in the private message. I'll put it up because that means they put it up in the last day or two. And I don't think they have. But guys, any tools you can use to give you a competitive advantage, you have to take advantage of. So if we understand making offers is the name of the game and cash buyers dictate the price, you have to do your cash buyer intel. So at this point, we locate demand. I'm giving you a simple 3-step process. Then we are going to work on cash buyers. I already showed you how to do that. You identify demand, you reach out to cash buyers. So through listrei.com, we do cash buyers. How do I do it? Pick up the phone and call them. Like, do not complicate this. It's simple. Find out what price points, what areas they're buying, collect the data. And once you have that data, you can pinpoint on where to market. Once you find out what they'll pay for it and where the demand is, the next step is simply make offers. So how do we make offers on vacant land without putting our own foot in our mouth and screwing it up? Remember, it is not an emotional sale. Let me give you a little clue. So most of you have learned with me with like MCTP, and I'm telling you, it's not going to work on this one. Think about it. I do like motivated sellers. I do want people that need to sell their land, but it's not as critical in vacant land. Remember, they're not there. They're not living in it. Here's the ones I do avoid. If they say, well, Rick, if the price is right, I'll sell anything. I don't have time for people like that. It's a waste of time. So those are the only ones I kind of discount right off the bat. Number two, I like them without realtors. I'm not saying you can't do it with a realtor, but you're never going to be able to connect with the seller on a personal level. And the deeper you get to know your sellers through a conversation, if you want to learn how to do it, we go over to freewholesaling.com. Do that. Let me take this off the bottom here for now. Make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. We'll show you how to turn your scripts into conversations, because if you learn to connect with people, like really build a rapport with them, you really get good deals. Now, it's not going to happen as much on land because they don't care. So they're like, hey, Rick, I bought it for $5,000. You're going to pay me 10. Like, I double money. I'm fine. I want to sell it for 15 or 20. And that's the game we play. You just have to have very consistent volume to do it. So the next part is We have to make offers. We want to find people that need to sell their house. Now, I like off market and I like direct to seller. That's never going to change in wholesaling. And anyone who teaches you otherwise, you're just going to send you on a wild goose chase as a beginner because you don't have the skill sets as much to talk to realtors. Realtors put up proof of fund barriers. They put up proof of funds. They make high deposits and it's a pain in the butt. So if I'm brand new, I don't want, so off market, direct to seller. Now, I got to make room. So I got to erase this. So here's how we do it, guys. I keep it super simple. I want to know their time frame for selling and if X amount of price is going to work. This is where you have to make the offers. A lot of you get to this point and you never make an offer. You just keep fishing around because you're scared. Get over it. Make the offer. Rick, how much should I make the offer? If I know a cash buyer wants to pay $30K in my farming area, make this super simple. Guess what I'm going to tell you now? So those of you who know me, I'm going to teach you to go for no. Why? It's not because I enjoy getting your head bashed in and getting yelled at. Most of you are going to do this over the phone. The only way to go for no is you have to spend time and build rapport by having a conversation. How do I do that? Get to know people on a personal level. They don't hang up on you on a personal level. If you call and make, I want to offer you $10,000, click, you'll be hung up 9 times out of 10. I'll hang up on you. So if you know that going into it, how do I do this? Most of you have to take your own personal biases out of this to survive in wholesaling. So when it comes to single family houses, I teach you the go for no method. This ain't no different. Okay. You need to learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. The fundamentals of wholesaling is going to say, if it's $30K, just offer. My pen's dying here. Hold on. Offer $15K. Oh my God, Rick, that's so low. I'm going to get rejected. Exactly. That's why I tell you to go for no. Go for no. Once you get a no, you have now started what we call a negotiation. Most of the time when you go for no, what do you get? You get a counter response. Guys, this is the most valuable information you can ever get from a seller. Now, I didn't make up go for no. I just followed a philosophy that works in the sales environment forever. It's not even like a magic word. It's if I make an offer, $15K, if they say yes, guess what? Do the deal. If they say no, what do I do? Well, guess what? Let's look at this. Look at the psychology of any wholesale deal. This is you, the wholesaler. And then this is going to be your seller. And let's pretend there's a line between you guys. And this is where you're all nervous and you're all bubbly and you're scared to do anything. And so the seller has a price in their head. Most of you wholesalers are trying to guess what XXX is. So here's what you do. You try to cheat. And you try to figure out what their MAO is. Maximum allowable offer. Because some guru taught you this theory. Now, the maximum is just a max. That's like, I'm not going over this number. If you start near or close to the MAO, where are you going to go? So if I offer an MAO, say I offer 22.5, they say no. What are you going to do? 24, 25. You are just like a realtor. So you have to change the psyche around. This only works if you build rapport with people. And here's what I do. They're expecting you to offer somewhere in here. And then the closer you get to this number, the more you have to chase the seller. Can't tell you how many times I play this game. If I have a property, I'm selling it for 400 grand. And like, I think 400 grand, like it's a doable price. And you offer me 390, I might go up to 410 because I know you want it. So when people offer you a low offer, they was like, they like, what's going on? Remember, there's no data to really verify the value of this other than your cash buyers. So I'm using cash buyers information. I'm confident. I know the number 30K is the retail for this. Okay. I offered 15K. But what most of you guys do is you come in here and you try to offer 25 off the bat. And you got nowhere to go. You might as well just hang up if they reject you. So guess what? When they say no to my 15K, all of a sudden, instead of them chasing you this way, they're going to go, okay, you know what? Maybe I want to sell this. Maybe I got to go start chasing Rick to kind of get this deal done. Most of the time, the counter goes like this. I could never sell it that low, but my wife says if we got an offer for like 21,000, we would just probably take it. Okay. 21 it is. Now, I can negotiate it. Maybe you wind up at 20 or 20, whatever it is. But now I already know my buyers are chomping at the bit at 30K. I have at least a 9K profit by using this strategy. They're not emotional. They really don't get upset. You can do this over and over. Actually, I can train a VA how to make these offers all day long. The one thing I cannot train a VA, and I can't stress this to you enough, is you have to use like real people skills to warm people up and have a conversation with them. A lot of you guys mixed it up like, well, isn't that sales training? No, it's human being training. Just be your dang self. Be authentic. Have a conversation, turn your script into no conversation, and use go for no. So let me update you on this because I'm giving you the plan. You guys don't need complicated courses on this and all this stuff. You've got to understand. You make offers. So you're going to call and text and reach out to people. And then once you get them on the phone, you're going to do conversations. Okay? And then once you get to the conversation, you already know the price parameters because hopefully you're working in the market you're farming. You're going to use go for no. And understanding this is when your negotiation starts. I've used the comp from my cash buyers. I used the go for no. Either way, you're going to walk away with a deal or you walk away and you move on and you put them in your follow-up. But guys, it is simple. Simple, simple, simple. 30K is the valuation based on my cash buyers. I make offers at 15. You can go lower. I don't want them to hang up on you. And if you can meet somewhere and make it work, there's an entire book out on like how you should never meet somebody in the middle. And I actually disagree with this because what is the middle? Think about this for a second. What is the middle? So if I'm here and then my customer is here, so that's me, the wholesaler, and that's the seller. Typical realtor says, let's meet in the middle. Well, what if I start all the way over here? So if this is the determined middle, and this is where the seller is, and if you stick to your MAO, which is going to be over here, meaning that this is where your middle is. The way I show you how to do it by doing this, you can meet them in the middle and be right here and absolutely make a ton of profit in between. Meeting in the middle when you do go for no is an easy strategy. It's a psychological one, and it works. If you do meet in the middle off of an MAO, you're going to get killed, and I believe you should read the book, Don't Meet Them in the Middle. But if you think like a wholesaler fundamentally, like listen to me on this, if you understand the fundamentals of wholesaling, meeting in the middle makes you a crap load of money. Because here's the secret, I'm not starting at the middle, I'm starting at the bottom. So if I offer them 15, they want 30, they're like, oh crap. If they really want to do a deal, I'm going to look for signs of motivation for them to negotiate with me. They go, no, I'm firm at 30. I just move on. It's no sweat off my back. The key is, guys, the go for no requires real conversations. And if you don't have real conversations, it ain't going to work. So you've got to understand that. So guys, somebody said they're having audio and whatever, we'll figure it out. I'm going to answer some questions. So if you have questions, put it in here. And I like to give props to, I like to answer your questions. So let me finish the last strategy and then we'll go in Q&A. Maybe we'll have time to hop some people on and we'll have some fun with this. So we've located demand. We've done the make the offers. I'm writing all over my stuff here. And now, so the next one was the cash buyers. I know what the audio here. Cash buyers. Then we make offers. So if I have room here, let's talk about terms. Rick, when I get them, what terms do I need to do on these? This is where it's fun. This is where it makes single family houses like, I get it why people switch to like vacant land. But guys, if you want to do vacant land exclusively, that's fine. I always recommend a combo of both because you can make some six-figure hits, especially off probate deals. If you're not doing probates, make sure you're doing it. But terms. So let's talk about terms. What are the minimums I need to do to make these deals work? Let's start with the deposit. If you are doing off-market properties direct to seller, don't complicate the deposit. The deposit's only a challenge when you think it is. Occasionally, there are people give you flack, but I'm going to do a $100 deposit. The most I ever really do on land is maybe $500. And guys, it is just a deposit in escrow. You're really risking nothing. I get it. You have to have the capital to put in there, put it in there, put it in the title company. But the range typically is 100 to 500. It's very doable for anybody. I'm not going to go over the legalities of deposits. I'm not a lawyer. I've done most of my deals without almost zero deposits. Most people just want to get their stuff sold. So negotiating on deposits, you don't understand wholesaling. I've left $150,000 deposits. If I'm buying it 30 cents on the dollar, I fund the whole thing. Doesn't mean you have to do. You just got to reach out to someone like Rick or Zach and we'll help you get it done. But I digress. So $100 to $500 deposits. Start at 100, don't offer 500 off the bat. Here's the next key terminology. We're going to do the same inspection clause we do on a single family house. Here's the caveat. Our inspection, just making sure it's a good fit for our partners we're working with. So what do I ask for? I ask for 90 days. I also going to ask for a 90-day close. Remember, this is what I'm asking for. It doesn't mean you're going to get. If you don't ask, you're going to be dictated. And if you don't understand, it takes longer to sell vacant land deals, especially if you're new to it. 30 days, which is a dream when you do single family homes on wholesaling. You need more than 30 days if you're just starting out. Ask for 90. If you had, you could do 60. But I'm telling you, the longer the period, the more options you have. This is why you have to attack your cash buyers list. And you have to do it up front. You can't do it after the fact unless you get like a 180-day contract. And some people like to do is just sitting there. I don't give a crap what you do with it. And so they're very flexible because they're not living there. But keep in mind, people go, well, how do I explain the 90 days? Listen, we just need to make sure it's the right land. If we got to look at some soil samples, make sure there's no environmental issues. And then I've got to get a builder or my contractor or my partner to take a look at it. It's going to be a couple of weeks till he's in town. It's really easy to explain. Now, we're not kicking the tires on like the type of windows, the type of drywall, any of that stuff. And if you know that, that's how it works. So understanding 90-day close, 60 to 90-day inspection, and $100 to $500 deposit. And guys, these can be written, like worst case scenario, if you go to freewholesaling.com, we have all the free contracts in there for you. I'm going to put it on the screen for you right now, but I'm here to tell you guys, it is not hard to do vacant land. Now, here's the piece that most people don't really get with vacant land. You need more quantity. I can't spell today. Quantity, and you got to be consistent. You all have different things going on in your life. If you want to have real success wholesaling vacant land, identify and locate the demand, build your cash buyers list, make offers, go for no, 50 cents on the dollar, real easy stuff. And then the deposit, 100 to 500, 90, 60 to 90 day inspection, 90-day close. I even do 180 days. And then you got to understand, I need quantity and consistency. Once you figure out how to do this, takes a few months to get rolling. It's actually easy. And some of you are freaking out about wholesaling vacant, wholesaling single family homes. Why don't you mix vacant land in with it? It works. Oh, I don't know how to do, virtual wholesaling. Well, this is the best way to introduce it to you. Use all the tools I told you, listrei.com, go over to list source. Guys, it's endless. You can use the dialer at dmzac.com. And guys, how do you deal with these people? It's simple: phone calls or text, cold call, text, cold call, text. Can you mail it? You can. I don't want you starting off mailing. I got to get some money in your bank account so we can make this a huge win-win situation for you. A lot of gurus will teach you to mail and do all this stuff. I'm just telling you guys, that's not where you start in this business. It's slower. It's going to cost you money you don't have. And for that reason, I don't want you to start out doing that when you do that. So let's do this. Let's answer some questions in here. And if you got a question, let's just pop it in there. And I will rip through these and we will get started here. So, and I appreciate you guys coming on here. Yeah, I don't do land every day, but like I like it. And probably one of my earliest regrets is I didn't figure this out early, because I could have completely dominated the market. But I'm telling you right now, in 2024, you can actually dominate this market. It works. So somebody says, why not Florida? Go look at the average land price in Florida. It almost exceeds 100 grand. And the problem is, if I'm going to buy land, are you going to wind up in places in the center of the state where nobody wants to live? There's no utilities and there's real no like town. They wind up being real rural areas. Now, I'm not saying there's not opportunities, but for the most part, like if I go to Port St. Lucie to buy land right now, there's more demand than there is product. And it's to the point where you've missed the curve. So I don't want you chasing something. Like if I go into that'd be like going to LA and looking for vacant land. Like you're going to be paying millions for it. So just like in single family homes, I don't want to exceed the $100,000 threshold. And a lot of the opportunities, you guys, are between $5,000 and $35,000, $40,000. That's where the real, because they trade very quickly. So I like Florida. I just don't like the pricing of Florida. And we're approaching 23 million residents. There's just not much land left. So you've got to understand that when that pops up, and it's just critical. And people put on here, we don't have a beef with anybody, but I'll tell you when someone's software is superior or not. When new technologies come on, we look at it. I always tell everybody, unless the company can tell me where the data comes from, I will never work with it. Because here's a little trade secret you guys know. A lot of times when you guys get free data or stuff that's how do they do this for this pricing? You've got to understand there's a cost to this. You guys understand skip tracing. There's really good data and there's really bad data. Read between the lines. If I've had tons of softwares where they provide free stuff or they provide it for a penny, I know what the raw cost for data is. We talk to these companies all the time. And it's very clear and apparent when someone's offering recycled data that the average person doesn't understand the value of. And then if you get a sophisticated wholesaler like me, I know. So do you want it free? So here's the age old trick. You ready for this? When something's super easy and it's really easy to get into it, odds are you're going to have a really hard time at the end. The only exception I can say right now is freewholesaling.com. Me and Zach have never charged a penny for it. I believe it is a public service to the wholesaling community. And now we're talking about people regulating the wholesaling industry. And I'm all about like disclosures and keeping everything right. But like, maybe we should look at the products that are sometimes sold, and maybe some of them are a little bit misleading. Like Skip Trace. Skip Trace to me is like the wild child. You do not know what's behind the cover. And you guys say it all the time. Like, I'm getting it free, but it sucks. I'm getting this. It sucks. It's like, that's it. And even like a cent or two, guys, there is a fixed cost for like skip tracing data. I'm not going to share it on here because it's extremely misleading, and I'm not a data expert. I just understand what gets deals and what doesn't. If I use the software and I can't get deals, I'm not going to promote it. End of story. It's not about a beef with anybody. It doesn't work for my business. Do you realize from CoreLogic, it took me like 3 years to convert over to PropStream because I'm like, why? So the age old, if I'm catching fish in this pond, why am I going to jump to a new pond? And you've got to understand as a wholesaler, stop looking for the latest, greatest thing. See what's working in the community, what other people are getting results in, and find a way. And if you get good value from it, go for it. But if people aren't willing to share where the data comes from, that's all I need to know. Because guys, there's places where you can buy recycled data, and someone like me could just pay a flat fee and then just send it out to all of you. And you go, oh, it's free. It's amazing. Like, it's not. Like 5 or 10 grand, they buy this data and like they recycle it all out there. It just drives me nuts. So just be aware of what you're kind of getting. But you got me off track here. So that's my ADHD kicking. I got to refocus. So let's see. So if you have any questions, so Brandon put it on and you're asking about the laws. Here's what I want you to do is I want you to hop on. Zach, we just recorded a video and went state by state of all the challenges and the stuff that's coming up. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. And just because people are passing legislation to like make things more, I guess, more difficult for us, just pay attention, read the laws. And like, so I will tell you, a double closing in most cases will cure it. That's not a factual statement anymore because there are exceptions. So here's my suggestion to everyone that has the same problem that Brandon does. Read your laws in your state. Talk to your title company. Talk to serious wholesalers that actually have to fight this problem on a daily basis over influencers that are going to tell you what to do and what not to do, because most of the gurus and stuff they're not doing wholesaling. Honestly, me and Zach, we do wholesale deals. Like I do them all over the country. I love them. And it's challenging. Like we have to like, okay, what state, what can we do? What can we do? We're now working on a creative financing deal in Texas, and I have a lawyer helping me, making sure I'm following the guidelines. So if I'm going to do that, I want you to do the same thing. I'm not going to guess. So in state of Florida, I know exactly what to do. I don't need to talk to a lawyer. There's 5 other markets. I know exactly what to do. I need to talk about it. But when I go to places like Texas, I go to places like West Virginia, especially Pennsylvania, South Carolina, I got to get help. I'm not an idiot. Like, I don't want anyone to get like attacked or sued. This whole myth, like you're going to go to jail wholesaling, is the most ridiculous thing. I heard the other day, somebody went in because they did a bunch of short sales. They committed fraud. And fraud is already a guideline. You can do fraud on real estate. You can do it. You can do it in technology. You can do it in teaching. You can do it as a police officer. Fraud is fraud. When you purposely mislead people and your purpose is complete misdirection, and you forge something or you sign an affidavit and you do the complete opposite and you do it hundreds of times, you might go to jail for that. And that's it. And if you guys understand how fraud works, fraud is Like if you get $1 million judgment against you on fraud, like you can't just declare bankruptcy. It's void of that. So it has extra protections. The only thing worse than that's going to be like the RICO Act. But to this date, I've never met anyone who's gone to jail for wholesaling. Now, I've had wholesalers that have committed fraud, who've done some wild things, forged. Yeah, you go to jail for that. I know some personally. Guys, most of the laws are already written to protect you. And so everyone's trying to find a narrative like you're going to go to jail wholesaling. Like, okay, so let's go. If you want to call someone out, let's pull up the case and let's read through it. Oh, fraud. They didn't violate the wholesaling statute. They violated fraud. They forged the document or they misled very serious information. And that, if you're going to do that. So like short sales, if you guys are, so I did short sales. I had a time where the state of Florida sat down with me and wanted to know a lot of questions about what I'm doing. And I answered all the questions and they go, listen, we're going to write the laws where you can't do this anymore. I'm like, okay, well, I've already read the rules. It says I can do that. When you change the rules, I'll change how I operate. They did. So as of now, I did hundreds of short sales flips from 2010 to 2013, 12, because it was easy. But here's now, they wrote in a rule, when I buy a short sale, it has a deed restriction in it. That deed restriction says I cannot trade that title for 90 days. Now, you can do some clever stuff, but like I don't play with it. Sometimes they put 90 days and or 20% profit. Now, the 20% profits, that's easy to get around. Like you can do it. The 90 days, like you have to set a deed in escrow. And if you violate it, you can be nailed and big time committing like, and so that's what a lot of people get nailed in short sales, right? People are like, oh, because they wholesaled. No, it's not because they wholesaled. When you sign a document of a deed restriction and you don't honor it, you can be sued for it and you can be held criminally liable for it. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to tell you, but like most of the cases, when you dig into them, there's usually an element of fraud that goes way past wholesaling. Bad people are going to do bad things. Teachers, cops, wholesalers, realtors go to jail all the time. I've heard of forged listings like crazy. You do that, you go to jail. Like, sorry. When you cause financial harm and you ruin people's life, you should go to it for it. But we got to stop the fear mongering. So, number one, read the laws yourself. Number two, check with your local title company. Number three, find wholesalers doing business in your markets and see how they're dealing with the problem. And then number four, talk to a local real estate attorney. Typically, they're going to be tied with the title company, or if you're in an attorney state, that is the best way to do it. We are being attacked. I don't disagree with that one. That's an accurate statement. But how we do and move forward, it's up to you. We're not sheep as wholesalers. We beat to our own drums. This is what we do. I do not let one person or a group of people say, this is what everybody has to do, because we became entrepreneurs for a reason. And I will tell you, wholesaling is protected by your God-given right in the United States Constitution. That's why we only promote it in the United States. Would love to do it worldwide, but I can't solve everyone's problems. So you got to understand that. So, but if you guys are new to this, here's what I recommend. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Me and Zach have created a course 100% free. I got 21 years experience. My son's approaching 8 years. That's 29 years experience from an old fart like me and a young technology advanced kid that hustles his butt off. And I'm proud for him to being my son. And I want you to know that I always tell you, people can tell you one thing. I want you to look at what I've done. I've done over 3,000 deals. My son's done thousands because I've taught him early, very advanced. Wholesaling has allowed me to free my thinking of the matrix I was living in, and I was able to teach my children. My daughter's amazing too, just a different field. And I want people to be happy. My son picked wholesaling. I didn't pick him to do it. Why? Because I spent a lot of time with him. So I don't care if you have one kid or you have 20. You have to lead by example. So if I can lead and make my son a ferocious wholesaler, one that has really captivated the entire wholesaling community, I want you to know I lead by example. So if I do it for 21 years, My son does it behind me. The legacy's already spelled out there. I practice what I preach. Make sure you hold everybody else to the same accountable standards, because a lot of people talk, but like, you see the relationship with me and my son. I'm tickled pink every day that I can come in my office and do business with my son. Because I tell you, I love wholesaling, but there's nothing more important to me than family. And I respect people that lead in their family and they help people out. And I want you guys to do the same. Wholesaling changed my life, and I want it to change your life if you want to do it. If you guys want to get some more help and you want some more one-on-one time, when I'm done with this video, I jump over and Flip with Rick Plus. I work with people. That's where most of my business partners are. I teach people how to find the exact same deals you do on freewholesaling.com. Most people start out there, and then they get a lot more serious about it. And then they present deals to me and we work one-on-one. I get their phone numbers, and people are like, how can I work with you and Zach? The best way to do is start freewholesaling.com. If you can cut your teeth and you can get deals done on your own, join me. Join Flip with Rick Plus, very nominal value. And if you do a deal with me, I make the whole thing free. Everything me and Zach do, we offer a path to do it for free. I don't know anybody else who does it, because I make money wholesaling. I'm a modern day wholesaler with a kick butt son that's great at it. And I want you to understand, I have to lead and show you who I am and how I do it. Authentic. How many other wholesalers do you see out here, or influencers, that have their kids working right next to them? I'm talking on a daily basis for multi-million-dollar businesses. It's not a requirement. I just want you to know the product you're getting. I believe in you guys. And I had an epiphany when I taught my son. I go, we just need to simplify this business and teach the fundamentals. Somehow in the last 10 years, we've lost all fundamentals in wholesaling, and that's why most people are lost in wholesaling. If you want to join me and you really want to hit it out of the park, do a Flip with Rick Plus.com. It's less than $100 a month. I can't make it any cheaper, guys. And honestly, I got people doing deals left and right. I got 3 people making close to 6 figures that have never even done a wholesaling deal. I think it's amazing. But I will tell you this. I run a community. I don't do one-on-one coaching. I agree with that philosophy. And people that have taken that mantra, I commend them, because one-on-one does not work in wholesaling. You can't be a high-level person if you do one-on-one. I don't believe you should pay before you submit a deal, because that's a one-sided transaction. Let's do deals. I'm brutally honest with you when you have a great deal and you don't. And if not, I teach you how to go back and hunt. I would love for you to guys join us. So go over there. Make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. And as usual, make sure you smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Me and Zach will be on. No, actually, we're going to join Flip with Rick Plus right after this. And check me out on the Rick and YouTube channel, the Zach and YouTube channel. And guys, vacant land, man. I love it. It works, but you got to put in the work into it. Take my simple 1, 2, 3 approach. Go ahead and jump on it. Go back and watch this video. It's recorded. It's free. It's valuable information, and it will help you out. I wish somebody showed me this video when I was a lot younger, but if I can just help out one person, I've done my job today. I appreciate you guys. Go over to freewholesaling.com. This is Rick. Make sure you leave a comment if you got value, liked it, hit that subscribe.